How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. I just recorded this video with Alexander Lorenzo. He's another big YouTuber. I'm going to leave links to all his information underneath the video. We had a great conversation on the bear market that we're in now, how to survive it, where Bitcoin's going in the future, a potential 90% drop for Bitcoin, and more. So definitely check out his links underneath the video, subscribe to him, turn on the bell notification, because he has a great channel that doesn't give you fluff. He tells you exactly how it is. And I think everyone would be better if they listen to more channels like this. How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. Today we have Alex Lorenzo on the channel. What I really like about your channel is, one, you've been around the block. You've been here for multiple years. You're not someone that just got in on the hype and when everything 10x or 100x. And two, you just call it like you see it. A lot of other people are trying to pump their own bags. A lot of people are just saying the same things that everyone else is saying. Hey, buy the dip. Which is why I wanted to get you on the channel and get your opinions on the market right now. Alex, thanks for coming on.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on your channel. Yeah, I mean, look, it's probably not the best short-term strategy to tell people what they don't want to hear, but I believe long-term, if you just be honest and just tell the truth, that, it pays off dividends. And, that's kind of what I wanted to do. It's not really a, 2-year game for me. It's more of like a 30-year game. So that's how I kind of wanted to run my investment channel. I want to be accurate, not, the most popular. So, that's how I kind of move what we're doing there. But yeah, thoughts on the market. Look, it's been pretty obvious. I've been out of the market for about 3 months now. I've been like about 85% cash. And then in recent history, about 2 weeks ago, I took off another 10%. So I'm like 5% in crypto. And it's pretty straightforward, man. Crypto is still considered risk on. So I'm looking at the macro for most of this. For obvious reasons. United States is going hawkish Fed policy. These guys are coming, decreasing spending. They're trying to stop inflation. And we've seen this play out multiple times before. I know, look, I'm a crypto native. I've been in this market for 6 years. I was purchasing and mining Ethereum at $3. And I really want crypto to be not correlated to the stock market in all of my heart and soul, but it is. It is, right? So, we see risk on assets doing bad in general. So this is including the stock market. So, in my personal opinion, from my experience in watching multiple cycles, I've been through 2 different bear runs. We're going to see a 90% drop in Bitcoin. Now, this could change this cycle. There's a good chance. But I'm not willing to bet on that, if that makes sense, with my actual money and my credibility. So I do think we're going to get a 90% drop with Bitcoin, and I'll be waiting for that. Now, personally, I'm an investor. I got some people that, short-term trade and they're shorting the market. But until things turn around, until I see clear signs, I think we're probably going to get like a 90% drop in Bitcoin.
And are you saying 90% from the high? So like 7,000 to 8,000? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's probably likely. Look, okay, so I bet on, when I make decisions, I don't make like definitive answers. I don't it's guaranteed to go to 8K, right? What I think's very likely to happen is I'm willing to bet right now with my money that Bitcoin at least is going to 20K, at least. Now, if it goes to 7K, 8K, I'll be ready. But when I start making my entries, it's going to be around Bitcoin 20K. Now, this could completely change. We could get some type of crazy bounce. We could get, dovish Fed policy. There is a Fed meeting coming up on the 12th or 13th. Don't quote me on that. It's the 12th or 13th. I forgot the exact date. This will give us more clarity, right? So are we going to go dovish, right? Do we kill inflation? These things will help me make a better decision. But right now, where my brain's at, I'm waiting for Bitcoin to go to 20K before I make any entries into the market.
Okay. So let me ask you this then, because you said you mined Ethereum at, $3 and you were buying it. Obviously, you're wealthy, right? How much of your game plan is from you preserving capital as opposed to someone that's saying, hey, I have $5,000. I don't care if we fall another 20%. I just want to get this money into the market because I know that this will be worth 10x, next cycle. So what's your thinking behind that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I've educated a lot of people in crypto, and I have like a specific group where I talk to these people face to face, and there's all different types of traders, right? The first thing I always tell people is recognize your time frame. Some people work way better with short-term time frames. Some people are way better medium and long, right? I'm way better medium and long. And the reason for this is because it's going to be a different answer for everybody, right? Depending on how much time you put into the market, So if you're not putting that much time in the market, maybe it is a good strategy to hodl and DCA, right? It depends on how much your experience you have. If you've been in this for less than 2 years, maybe it is a good answer for you to just buy and keep buying as it goes down. Put a little bit of your paycheck into cryptocurrency as we go down, right? But for me, I've been in this market for 6 years. I have a lot of education. I know this very well. I spend 24 hours a day in cryptocurrency, right? And I have like traders that are in some cases better than me at different time frames that can, give me this information to be able to call these drops, right? So for me, I'll wait to 20K BTC, but you have to figure out what type of investor are you? How much emotional control do you have? Can you really weather, a 90% drop if Bitcoin goes down to that level? Can you weather altcoins dying 99%? These are the questions you have to ask yourself. And I hate making blanket statements to everybody. And you got to figure out what type of person you are for the average person or someone that has like a little bit of money or whatever the case is.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because for me, I'm more of a DCAer myself, but I do layered buys. So like I do twice a week buy BTC. I was buying altcoins before, but I haven't bought anything besides Bitcoin over the last couple months. But for me, I have money sitting on the sidelines as well. So if we start seeing those drops, I just want to be consistent with buying a small amount at least, and then I'll layer down. Okay, so you said we could wait.
That's a good point. I'm sorry, before you go to the next question, I want to just talk about that. So you probably have cash flow, right?
Yeah.
You got cash flow from the YouTube channel, right? And most people don't have significant cash flow.
Yeah.
So just like, I rather, because like, I know, man, we're YouTubers, bro. Both of us, I understand a lot of what you do. And, for the average person, they're probably making, what's the average salary in America? Like 40 to 50K?
Yeah.
There's like a study I researched a couple months ago where it's like the average American can save $500 a month.
Yeah.
Right. So just be careful. Like if you're going to have $500, like be strategic about where you're going to buy. You know what I mean? I would say for the normal. Yeah. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. Yeah. So I agree with you there. And I think it's different too if you have been accumulating, money to put into the market for 5 years or 10 years, right? Your cash flow is so much less. So yeah, if you buy 90% of what you have and then you barely have anything left to buy the dips, that's totally different than, hey, I make $5,000 a month that I can throw into the market, and I only have $10,000 of cash now anyway. So yeah, definitely different depending on who you are and what your income is and your risk tolerance and everything like that. So you said we could wick down to maybe 7,000, at least 20,000. I'm assuming that's more short term. For me, I think the market's going to kind of U-turn towards the fall when the Fed has to, I think, become a little bit more dovish. Is that what you're thinking too? Like, what's your summer and fall outlook? Obviously, probabilities, it's not 100% certain whatever you say, but I'm curious.
Yeah. So short term, okay, so I take this more from so we have some expert technical analysis guys in my group. So I really hinge a lot of short-term thought on what they're saying. So yeah, I think there's probably going to be a little bounce, and we might make our way up at least like maybe in the next couple of months, maybe. And then yeah, as they increase or rate hike, right? Look, it's very simple. The economy works in this duality of hawkish and dovish Fed policy, right? And right now, it's just pretty clear for the next year, it's probably going to be hawkish. I don't know when that flips, but it probably flip when the economy breaks. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like the unofficial Fed policy where everybody's kind of talking about, right now, they're going to keep it hawkish. They're going to keep, decreasing spending until something collapses, right? Something has to go to zero, right? And then when we see that, they're going to try to save the economy again, by printing as much money as possible. Yeah. So I would make that bet based off of that. Maybe not time frames, but I really want to see us flip dovish before a real serious significant bounce. But according to technical analysis, Will from my group has been saying we're going to get a bounce now. So I am kind of conflicted, to be completely honest with you. I have no idea within the next 3 months. This is actually a really uncertain time in crypto, man. Luna, UST just went to zero, man. It's very hard to tell, and I want to be humble enough by saying, I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I'll just DCA if we get lower.
Yeah. And I think we're already seeing some of that softening already. I don't know how much you pay attention to the stock market, but even Snap last night said that they're going to be below EBITDA lower range estimates and below revenue. And they just gave those last month, I believe, and they're already saying we're not going to hit those numbers. So they fell 37% today. And this is after Target also, had less consumer demand essentially last week. So now people aren't advertising as much because consumers aren't spending. So we're already seeing consumers spend less. And I feel like that's going to lower inflation just by itself because people aren't buying the same amount of items. They don't have the same amount of cash, or they don't feel as comfortable because maybe they're hearing recessions in the future or something like that. So they're just being a little bit more cautious. But I already feel like we're seeing some weakening in the consumer right now, which is interesting. So hopefully,
I agree, man.
Yeah.
I got 2 babies, and I had to go reach out to 20 different people because there's a limit on baby formula. There's like a huge baby formula shortage.
Yeah.
So yeah, I already see cracks in the economy for sure. I think Starbucks just closed like 130 stores in Russia.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I mean, man, it's a crazy time. And to be honest with you, contrary to what I just told you before, the Federal Reserve has pretty much total control. So there is a chance that they could just flip dovish just like this on an emergency type of level. And that's why I still have a little bit of crypto, and that's why I'm comfortable with buying. Even if we get a little bounce, I'm comfortable with buying a little bit, taking a loss or whatever the case is. Because remember, Bitcoin's going to go to 100K, pretty confident in the next 3 or 4 years. So
yeah. Okay, so with that in mind, let's say we do have this extended bear market, right? Where maybe it doesn't turn this year even. Let's just say everything kind of just mellows out. We don't have those recession fears, so then the Fed doesn't have to flip. First of all, do you think that we're going to have another extended bear market, I suppose? And then second of all, how do we actually survive that? If it's not just, a quick couple month bounce, but it's, a year down the line, how do we make sure that we don't run out of money or make sure that our portfolios don't keep on diving?
Yeah, this is actually a really good question. So when I think about this, like, there's so many different theories that come out, especially in the bull run, man. Everybody has some type of opinion, like ETH is going to flip Bitcoin. You have like the extended cycle theory. There's all these different things. If there's one thing though, if you don't make a lot of assumptions, I like making guesstimates off of like not having so many different assumptions. And I think the one thing that's like specific to crypto that catalyzes the market is the Bitcoin halving, and it's pretty straightforward. And if you go to Google Trends, you can see that last halving, we actually had a massive spike of interest. So now everybody knows about the Bitcoin halving, basically. So the way I look at it is we're a little bit past halfway towards the next Bitcoin halving. And every single bear market, we've had a 90% drop. So I actually had a couple of videos where I talked about it. I think the market reverses maybe closer to 2023. So the original question you had was, how do you survive this until 2023 or like this extended bear market? Mm-hmm. And I think the way you do it is you got to figure out your personality type, because right now in my group, we have scalp traders and people that are shorting that are making ridiculous amounts of money. But I'm just not that type of guy. So what I rather do is build in crypto. I'm building in crypto, doing what you did, building a YouTube audience, right? Building a community, teaching people and educating them how to do it. Because guys, remember, if you're doing this the whole bear run, next cycle, you could brag all you want, right? Like you can tell people that you're calling these coins. So I think it might not be the best answer, because everybody wants to get rich from the comfort of their home, clicking a button. That's the truth. Everybody wants to get rich doing the easiest thing possible. But the truth is, I did 2 things really good. And the first one is I bought Ethereum at $3. And the second thing was I built a huge audience and solved a massive problem for the cryptocurrency community. Right now is the best time to get in contact with these founders. There's no noise in the market. All retail is gone. So like, for example, the way I did this in 2018 in the bear run is I created a fundamental analysis checklist. Where do you guys think I got that information from? I got that information from reaching out to the biggest credibility in crypto and asking them, how do you evaluate altcoins, right? And I couldn't get in contact with them in the bull run, and I have a massive following before I did it, right? So the point is, you got to figure out your personality type. Do you really want to be a serious trader? If that's the case, then you probably should learn how to short. You probably should learn how to do some short-term trading strategies, at least in the bear run. And then if you're not a short-term trader and you're a builder, well, think about some business models you could potentially make in the bear run, because this is the time to do it, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've said that a lot on the channel, is that especially for a lot of the people that watch, I think, our channels, they're people that are a little bit younger, maybe in their 20s. They're trying to figure out how to gain some significant amount of wealth. And a lot of the time they're working with, $10, $100, even $1,000. And what I've said is, if you're working with that amount of money, you really need to focus on growing your income, because, you can spend a lot of time and get 100% return, and that won't even pay as much as like a minimum wage job, right? Depending on how long you're spending on it. So building something with the knowledge you have can be so much more beneficial, especially if you're younger and you don't have that big pot of money to actually make it matter when you get that extra little bit of return that you would get compared to, not spending all this time researching the market. So I totally agree with you there. People need to spend a little bit more time trying to figure out a business or some way to scale their income, while still, researching at least a little bit to stay on top of their investments.
Yeah, cash flow is important, especially in crypto where you have to buy the dip.
Yeah.
Cash flow is very important. I mean, I have a couple guys that I did some work with, and they got their YouTube to 7K subscribers in like 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I look at some of these kids, and I'm communicating with them, and their crypto knowledge is like here.
Yeah.
Because they've been like watching ridiculous amounts of YouTube videos, and they really love like NFTs and the whole crypto narrative, right?
Yeah.
But like, they're trying to trade, like you said, like they're trying to trade with $500. Like, that's fine, you could do that, but like it's probably better if you get 2 full-time jobs and make 7K a month. Like,
yeah,
it probably is. And again, people don't want to hear this, but it's the truth. It's what me and you did. It's what we did. You know what I mean? Like, we did the hard things. Everybody should think about what's the hardest path. You should you should journal like 6 different things you want to do to get money, and one of them is obviously going to be crypto trading. And then you should pick like probably the hardest one that aligns with your personality. Yeah. And that will get you the result. If it's hard, nobody else wants to do it. And that's where you separate yourself. So, I'm a really big advocate, not only in investing in crypto trading, but also entrepreneurship. So, I'm always going to preach that.
Yeah, that's great advice. It's interesting you said that about a couple guys or a couple people that you worked with, because I had someone reach out to me too, because I have a course on teaching people YouTube, and they live really close to me actually, which is weird because we live in the Midwest, so no one lives close to you here. But they started making $5,000 or $50,000 a month, and they only have 5,000 or 6,000 subscribers. So they're making a ton of money, more than they could ever make doing anything else, right? And they wouldn't have been able to do that if they were just, worried about trading or something like that, or just trying to figure out the next big altcoin, because a lot of the time you miss with that. So that's interesting that we've had a similar experience in that way. So we kind of talked about how to approach the bear market, what you should focus on. Is there anything we should be avoiding right now with our portfolios, like dumping all of the money into whatever coin, or anything specific?
Yeah, man. There's a lot of noise out there, man. People are getting desperate. These business models, coins included, they're getting desperate. I'm getting a lot of inquiries for advising on marketing for coins. Like, I think I got like 10 in the past week. They don't know what to do. They're scrambling. Their market caps are dropping, so they have less money to invest. They're losing millions of dollars, and I'm not trying to be a negative person. I'm just telling you that a lot of these projects, man, even Ethereum last cycle dropped 98%. If you think a $100 million market cap coin is not going to go drop 90% plus, you're crazy, right? So I would highly suggest that people kind of avoid the noise. Stick to projects that have resilience, that have lasted for long periods of time. So for me, in my head, it's a very small list, but it's really just Bitcoin, Ethereum, and maybe some Cardano. And I'm not a Cardano maximalist. And I've made more money on other small projects than I'd ever have on Cardano. Yep. But the thing is, you don't want to you want to wait for the bull run, when it's just about to start, because a lot of these projects are not going to be here next cycle. They're just not. Remember, a lot of these founders, I talked to a lot of founders, and they got these evaluations for 3 months worth of work. Sometimes they'll go on Fiverr, make a website, make a plan, do nothing, and get a $30-40 million valuation. Mm-hmm. Some of them don't even have business experience. They just don't. And that's the annoying part about crypto, is that 90% of it's fluff. Even though the other 10% is enough for innovation. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of innovation. But the 90%, it's going to get washed out. It's going to get washed out. and maybe they'll come back in the next cycle, but it's just very unlikely. Even Dash, I think Dash in 2017 was the highest gainer by percentages, and it didn't come back. I think it's like top 50 maybe, but it was top 10 at one point. I think it was top 5 at one point.
Yeah.
So yeah, Cardano was top 5. It came back, so that's why I like it. You know, the resiliency. But yeah, man, most of these projects are going to go to zero. Avoid pretty much most of them, and stick to the ones that you know are guaranteed. If you have a list of 30, you should probably pick 2, maybe 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, and avoid all the high investment yield programs. Avoid all the hype. Avoid all the crazy influencers saying wild stuff. Just stick to what you know and educate yourself. Do the hard work.
Yeah, and I think that's somewhat similar to penny stocks too, where once they start falling down, the likelihood of them coming out of it is less and less, because you always have to raise money as a company unless you're already profitable. And it's the same thing with crypto projects, right? So it gets harder and harder for them as they fall down to actually get out of it. I agree with you on that a lot. I think for me, I'm waiting to touch any altcoin until it's so low that I just would feel like an idiot for not doing that. And that's not very constructive or very, it's not something that everyone can follow, because a lot of it is just what I think. But I'm not touching anything besides Bitcoin or maybe Ethereum until, I just see it as such a good deal that I need to put some kind of allocation in it. And even then, I'm only looking top 10, top 20 probably, which, might not be right for everyone, but that's kind of my view on it as well. So
it's the smart way to do it, man. It's the smart way to do it. Also, just to add to that before we go to the next question, there's also a lot of private funds. So I don't know who your viewers are, but if you got a little bit more money, you can get access. For example, Matic was one of these private allocations, and obviously that did like 100x, right?
Yeah. So
yeah, you can, in the bear market, you can really take advantage of this and network and get involved in these groups, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I've talked about the Tencent launch pad, if you've ever heard of them. They launched Everdome and Fame MMA recently, and those have both done really well too. Like, they've only launched, I think, 4 different cryptos. This isn't a promotion for them or anything like that, but that's one that I've been following pretty closely, because each one that they've launched, if you can get private, it does pump, or each one has pumped at least 40x up to 200x. So with those, if you're going to do that, though, you just need to know to take profits early on, and whatever you do get, because usually it's vested over a certain period of time. So you want to be able to take profits early on, because otherwise, it gets hit hard in a bear market, just like everything else, after the initial hype has kind of died down a little bit. So
yeah.
So you're 85% cash right now, and then Bitcoin and Ethereum. What does a good portfolio look like as we kind of near when you think the bull market might start? Like, do you start pushing into those lower cap altcoins? You kind of alluded to that a little bit earlier, but is there a set amount that you're looking at putting into those?
Yeah, so I have a specific strategy. I call it macro micro portfolio structure. So basically, yeah, as we get closer to the next bull run, my winners to me in my head is Bitcoin, Ethereum, ADA. For like probably a larger allocations. Maybe ADA is probably not the larger allocation, but definitely Bitcoin, Ethereum. And then usually what I do is I invest anywhere from 0.5% to 1% of my total cryptocurrency portfolio, into smaller caps, right? Now, before I do this, I usually do some pretty deep research. Like I told you guys, I have a fundamental analysis checklist where it's basically about 100 plus variables for every single crypto, and you can just like rate them. That's what I usually do. Actually, we have it on our CoinPix website. So if you guys don't know, I'm the CEO of CoinPix.io. We actually rate coins for you, and you can see the checklist and you can see how we rate them. But basically, I'm looking for multiple plays. I would never invest in a low market cap altcoin unless I buy at least like 5 to 10. So as we get closer, I'll look for, probably right now in my head, and this will likely change, but in my head right now, I'm looking for metaverse, obviously play to earn, some DeFi, innovative DeFi, not just random DeFi, because there's so much random DeFi, but like innovative DeFi. And a good rule of measure for DeFi too is if it can work without an incentive token, it's probably good. Not the crazy weird DeFi that's like, that are just trying to inflate or give away as much coins to, make this big APY or whatever. It's like a Ponzi scheme, right?
Yeah.
So I'm looking for really good, innovative DeFi projects, play to earn, for sure. And the metaverse is definitely going to be a thing. I'll allocate to maybe 10 to 20 different coins at the bottom of the bear run. And maybe, 70% of them die, but the other 30% that do well will get me those like 50, 100x's. Right?
Nice. So it's kind of like a VC fund in a way, but probably a little bit safer because they expect 99% to fail or so, or 98%. But you're thinking, I'll move up the line a little bit, maybe not take as much risk as those VC funds, but I'll get a 30% winner. Okay. That's interesting.
Crypto's beautiful, man. Everything wins.
Yeah.
Everything, like, it's true. Like, I hate saying it, but you can close your eyes, go to CoinMarketCap, click a coin, and as long as you wait 3 years, you'll likely get some type of pretty good return. So
yeah, definitely. So we talked about a lot of different things. I think a fun thing to end on would be, where do you see us in 5 years? Like, after we get through this, we don't care about the bear market anymore because that's 5 years in the past. Where's crypto in general? How many people are using it? And then where do you see Bitcoin, Ethereum, and whatever else you see at the top of the list, like Cardano maybe?
yeah. So it's hard to tell. I did some price predictions on Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin hitting 200K is very, very likely in the next maybe 5 years. I think Ethereum maybe might pass Bitcoin. I think it's unlikely because of the multiverse. I think that's probably a pretty confident prediction for me. Is I really think that there's going to be a lot of projects, not just Cardano, but there's a lot of pros and cons to some of these layer ones when it comes to security and scalability. And I do think, looking at the bridge, ecosystem that was built out this cycle, I already see people Web3 trading. So I think, like, if the bridge becomes more user-friendly to different blockchains, then we might see kind of this multi-chain verse. I don't know what to call it, but basically where multiple layer ones are being used for various reasons. And it could be kind of like this Web3 world to where instead of you logging in with your email, you log in with your public key or to your MetaMask. Your wallet is essentially your key to multiple different, I guess, like online universes. There's a lot here, guys. Look, this cycle, I was a Web3 trader. I lost about $50,000 on Ethereum transaction fees just learning how to use these. And I think it was the most valuable education experience I've ever seen, because now, look, Robinhood just came out with DeFi, right? Coinbase is coming out with some DeFi integrations and Web3 integrations. We see GameStop coming out with some Web3 integrations. So it's like, it looks like the next cycle is going to be really, it looked like the smart people this cycle were using Web3, but then like retail might actually get pushed towards Web3. So yeah, I think we'll hit maybe the 20% mark. I think this cycle we had about 14% of Americans use crypto. So maybe we get to the 20 or 30% mark, which will be like, that's huge. That's huge. I think Bitcoin hitting 200K is pretty likely. 100K is a drop in the bucket. It's definitely going to happen. 200K maybe next cycle. And yeah, I think people are going to get crazy on the Web3. And this might really be like the next infrastructure. Your current internet might look completely different in the next 5 years or so. So yeah, that's kind of my predictions. Yeah.
I like it. I think things have to get easier for people. Like, consumers can get smarter because 10 years ago, a lot of older individuals didn't know how to use a cell phone. But when you look at what Apple's done to make it so easy, and other companies too, to use an iPhone, it's way more intuitive than it used to be. So I think this has to just kind of happen in the background for a lot of people, because they aren't going to try to go set up wallets, do transactions, figure out how to send via BUSD or BSC or whatever. They're not going to know how to send via different chains and stuff like that. So I think hopefully a lot of these different companies that announced that they're working on this stuff over the last cycle have actually fleshed it out and made it really user friendly for the next cycle. Hey,
that's the beauty of bear market. Innovation happens.
Yeah, and who wouldn't like a nice 7 or 8x on Bitcoin over the next 5 years? That would be nice too. So that'd be awesome. So Alex, thanks so much for coming on the channel. As I said earlier, your links are in the description to CoinPix, and then also to your YouTube channel and all your other socials as well. Appreciate you coming on. We'll have to do this again.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, man.